Hi everybody, this is Tom Baker from the Photographer's Lounge, and today I just wanted to do a quick demo of a different way to do HDR and get a nice natural look. This technique requires the use of CS. I'm going to use CS6. You might be able to use CS5 for it, and also Lightroom 4. Lightroom 4 being the key component here because of its ability to work on 32-bit files. I will say that I normally do not use Adobe CS6 to do my HDR work. I normally use Photomatix Pro, but there are times where you want a very, very natural look without the HDR effect, and I find that this technique allows a little more control over what I can get out of Photomatix Pro using my normal workflow. So anyhow, if you have Lightroom 4, please watch along. Hopefully you'll enjoy this technique. I'm going to start off with 6 files that I have selected that I took on a recent trip to Cleveland, Ohio. I'm going to click on Edit and merge into HDR Pro in Photoshop. Now this is going to take a while, so I'm going to go ahead and pause the video while this works. You don't need to see the little bar go across, and we'll continue. You can see the files are now starting to show up on the right-hand side here. This is by far the longest part of this technique, is just waiting for the files to import into Photoshop and for Photoshop to prepare them for the HDR Pro module. On the flip side, this is the absolute best way to align photos that I've seen, even shooting on a tripod. If you have any question whether there was any movement at all due to wind or other vibration, then going into CS6 will almost guarantee that everything gets aligned correctly. Can't really say the same for Photomatix or HDR effects from Nik software. They do a good job, but Photoshop does a great job. See, and you can see right now it's saying aligning, selecting, doing the alignment. Now, once it actually gets to the HDR Pro module, you should see a screen that looks a lot like this. Now, we are going to do no editing of the HDR photo inside of this module, no tone mapping or anything else. And personally, I think CS6 is horrible for this, although maybe it's just my skill level. I'm the first to admit there are people that get decent results. However, for us, all we want to do is go right here to the mode. For you, it's probably set to 16-bit right now, and you can see when it's set to 16-bit, you can do all the tone mapping. We don't want that. We want to click on it and go to 32-bit, and you get an image just like this. Since I'm not worried about ghosting or anything else, I'm going to leave it alone for now. I'm just going to click on OK. When it does that, it's going to create a 32-bit file. It's going to put me back into Photoshop, and then all I'm going to do from there is save that file and go back into Lightroom. So 1 second. There's our 32-bit file. File, save. And here's my 32-bit file. Now what you can do is you can really adjust the file inside of Lightroom 4 the way you would do any other photo, except you're getting a 32-bit photo. You're getting the full dynamic range in this one file. Now, until Lightroom version 4.1, you couldn't edit a 32-bit file directly, which is what makes such a big difference. So I'm going to just play with it a little like I would another, any of my normal images. I can bring up the clarity. I can change the vibrance up and down if I want. I kind of like the weird pink glow from the snowstorm and all the lights. I can bring my exposure down a little. I can bring my contrast way up. Maybe even the saturation a little. Anyhow, it's just a way of playing with it like you would any other file. But look Look at how nice and clean the lines are. Look how there's no halos. Everything looks sharp, well, at least as sharp as it was when I took the photo, and clean. It looks very natural looking, but I have a nice range of light. I can see under the bridge. I can see the buildings. Nothing's blown out except for, the very tops here where the snow was coming and it was just very bright. I could go in obviously into Lightroom 4, and I could use my selective brush, excuse me, and I could come and I could change that a little if I wanted to. I mean, obviously that's pretty ugly, but you get the idea of the power. If I wanted to bring the highlights down a little here, etc., where it's a little harder to do that and have all this data to work with if you use other techniques to get the file back into Lightroom. So anyhow, just a quick video. Once you're here, you can play with the file any way you would want to. You can export it into other programs like Nik Color Effects, Nik or Silver Effects, or any of the On1 software. You can take it back into Photoshop and edit. I'm going to get rid of this point here because I don't need it. You can go in obviously and do some things like I need to do here, like clean out some dust spots, etc. So that's about it. Anyhow, very easy, very quick technique. You just export the stuff to CS5 or 6 to the HDR Pro module, bring it back in as a 32-bit file, no editing required in Photoshop. All of your touch-up can be done inside of Lightroom, and voila, you're done. Thank you, and have a good day.